Hey folks, this is Sanovin at MagicGatheringStrat. Strat, of course, standing for Stratosphere. I can't think of anything else it would possibly stand for. Anyway, hey, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to run a Selesnya deck, but first I'm going to go over something I like to call proof of concept. It's something that to make fun, cheap, casual budget decks that while they're not as strong as their tier 1 counterparts, they're very funny when they do work, and that's probably my favorite thing. I don't have quite enough funds to make the decks and demonstrate them, but I have enough that I can get a copy of the card and show you guys. Anyway, this one's based around 2 drops and being silly. What it does is like the color doesn't really matter as long as it has either white or black for Mortal Servitude, and preferably red in it as well. But other than that, there's not really much of a color requirement. So, what the idea is to play lots of these little guys, as you know, get them attritioned off because 2 drops tend to die pretty quickly, and then use a Mortal Servitude to bring them all back. At first, this seems like kind of a dumb idea, right? But there's one card in here that I wasn't able to get my hands on. It's called Theros, God of the Forge, and let's look it up and see exactly what it does. Theros, God of the Forge. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Theros deals 2 damage to each opponent. That's pretty nice. It's not the best god out there, but it's not a bad effect. And now when you combine it with Immortal Servitude, which brings every creature card from your graveyard back to the battlefield, it works great. One card that's not mentioned on here that should be on this list is Young Pyromancer, because Young Pyromancer works very well with a lot of the control stuff you need to stay alive. Anyway, that's the proof of concept out of the way, so let's get to the Selesnya deck itself. This is based off a design by Ryan Archer at Brainstorm Brewery. I'm pretty sure the article is still up at the time of this video was made, so you can probably find it there. What it likes to do is it has 2 game plans. First one is occasionally get the nut draw referring in this case to just an awesome hand that makes everything work perfectly for you, and just running Experiment 1 into say Voice of Resurgence, Fleecemane Lion, Boon Satyr, Polkranos, and so on, and using that to just annihilate the opponent before they can react. A lot of the times that doesn't work though. It's nice when it does, but you can't rely on it. But what this deck is really good for is just overwhelming your opponent through attrition. In this case, what I mean is that since you have so many token generators right here, like notably All-Star Voice of Resurgence and Advent of the Worm, you can effectively control more cards than they have. You just win through sheer card advantage. It's like someone had made an aggro deck and a control deck have an ugly baby. Anyway, the deck is pretty much identical to the one Ryan Archer made, except for the sideboard, which is where it's mutated a little. I've changed out Mistcutter Hydras, which are a X-cost creature that has protection from blue, for another creature that has protection from blue and, more importantly, flash and reach. A large part of what this deck likes to do is to play things on its opponent's turn, like see Boon Satyr, Advent of the Worm, Selesnya Charm, Rootborn Defenses, all that stuff, as much as on the opponent's turn as possible. So for some matchups, Skylasher is very, very good. Glare of Heresy is there to take care of lots of pesky white permanents because those tend to cause trouble for this deck. Banisher Priest and a few other cards are there mostly to deal with our worst matchup of all time, Mono Blue. But other than those changes, the deck is pretty much the same as Ryan Archer's. So, let's go give it a try. We'll go against Dean the Rhino. He doesn't have a Rhino avatar. I'm kind of disappointed. Anyway, step 1 of any match is courtesy. Courtesy above all else, folks. Above all else. And this hand looks good. Worst case scenario, we can use the Selesnya Charm to evolve Experiment 1. And that's a pretty good worst case scenario to have in my eyes. He's going first, but unless he's a red deck, we don't really care about that much. This deck does pretty well either on first or second. Dean the Rhino certainly moves like one. He's not going very fast, is he? I should also have mentioned, Boros decks are a bit of a problem due to Chain to the Rocks. That's part of the reason that exile target white permanent spell is in the deck at first, just to deal with that kind of stuff, because we don't do well with that. Brewed fresh and with love. Well, at least he has a good sense of humor, even if he is probably going to wreck my face. And here comes the part where he ruins my day forever. Don't want this conversation to go on too long. While it's certainly amusing, we want to be able to focus on the matchup itself. Anyway, a little more explanation. Having Experiment 1 on our hand is a strong start. Like, that's... As long as we have Experiment 1, and the mana to cast it, and then a potential follow-up, that's pretty much a hand that you can keep. This deck can run both on little mana and lots of mana, though it requires different parts of the deck to do so, so it is slightly problematic. Looks like he's going America Control. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and play the Selesnya Charm. So, since America Control, to my knowledge, does not have many things that I can exile with Selesnya Charm, and Trample is of limited utility due to lack of creatures. So this is probably getting sided out next game. But for now, it's basically a generic 2-2 with Vigilance that I can populate. Which is nice, but not that nice. Maybe he's not America Control. I don't know what he is. Yep, there's Chain to the Rocks. I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised you didn't take the Knight. That thing's a pain to deal with. Do we get a land? No, but we get something almost as good. And we keep smacking him. I think he might actually be older than I thought. Although Craxy makes me wonder about his keyboard. I guess he just missed the wrong key. Anyway. Now we see what happens. Because right now we're effectively trading 1-for-1, which, while not bad, isn't fantastic either. Yep, there goes the Guild Mage. There we go. Now we can play Loxodon Smiter, which is significantly more of a threat to him. It doesn't appear that he has any counter spells, which is good for us. Not that the Loxodon Smiter can be countered, but sometimes people try, and it's really funny when that happens. I'm really curious about why Nykthos is in there. That seems like a subpar card for what he's doing, unless he's running Boros Reckoner or something along those lines. But it still seems odd. Just as a note, folks, this is not a standard deck. This may be a Rogue Brew. Rogue Brews refer to something that's not like one of the tournament competitive decks, but is someone's brainchild. Kind of like the proof of concepts that I keep showing you, except, well, probably better because I kind of suck at those. Huh. That was odd. Alright, since that match ended so quickly, we're gonna do another one. We'll just ignore that match. And we'll play against someone different. The guy with the murderous redcap avatar, which is only slightly unnerving, and I'm not scared at all. Shut up. Okay, this one's also a keeper. We don't have Experiment 1, but we have, let's see, we can literally play everything in the hand by turn 4 or 5, depending on how we get mana. Well, actually, no, turn 5, definitely. And more importantly, we're going first. Never underestimate going first. Ever. Alright, looks like we're going up against a bonk style deck. That's what I like to call the aggro decks. Oh, interesting. Now, we're not going to play a creature this turn. We're going to do something funnier. We're going to hold up Selesnya Charm. If he puts Madcap Skills or something on this, well, on something, then that doesn't work. But if he plays like a Burning Tree Emissary Chain, which decks with Foundry Tree Denizen usually do, I can honestly say this is unusual. But we're going to trade 1 for 1 and make him waste a bunch of time. Because that seems like a good time to me. Although, alternatively, we can just block this soldier and get stuff out of the way. We don't really care about taking too much damage. At least not this early. Got you. Sort of. Alright, now, if we can, we're going to keep this guy alive, because if we get 1 more mana, we can stop populating him, and against an aggro deck, that's pretty much game over. No harm in swinging, since he doesn't have the mana open to make this bigger. And Vigilance is actually pretty nice. I've almost considered putting Heliod in here, just because it's, like, Vigilance does that much for this deck. Interesting. We're gonna have to double block that guy, unfortunately. We can't let a Dragon Mantle into Madcap Skills go running around. That's just bad news for us all. But we are trading 3 for 2, so I don't really mind. This also appears to be a Rogue Brew deck, but it's based off a pretty simple strategy. Like, most mono red decks you run into have a similar pattern. They don't. It's all about getting as much stuff on the field as possible and attacking as soon as possible. Just trading off stuff. Surprised you didn't play that earlier. I guess that. Well, no, he was holding up the mana for Dragon Mantle. Alright. Now we're putting out a serious blocker. Fleeceman Lion is better than Boonsater for this because, most importantly, it doesn't trade. I think we're going to try to use Boonsaters as either surprise blockers or just to bestow enchantments if we can. But with the mana we're getting, that's looking less and less likely. Looks like he's just going for it. Alright, not being able to block creature tokens in first strike is a big deal. We want to stop that immediately. And if he has a trick, he gets us a little, but... Yep, he has a trick. Dynacharge, not bad. Yeah, now we're in a bit of trouble. In fact, I think we're dead. Yep, we are. We're going to concede, and Now we're going to sideboard into something that'll make this matchup a lot easier on us. I didn't see any Chandra's Phoenixes in what he had, but I'd still rather have a Skylasher than a. I'd rather have a Skylasher than a Boon Satyr for this. And Trostani in this matchup really pulls her weight. However, the Sign, well, let's see. There's other cards in here that don't do as well. The Vidugazi Guildmage basically just trades, and we'd rather have Banish a Priest just to temporarily get rid of some of the blockers. And if we can take a guy with Madcap skills, so much the better. Alright, and begin. If we stumble, we're still in trouble. Even a bad mono red deck is still a good mono red deck if you stumble. Just you have to keep that in mind at all times. This one doesn't seem to be using any of the expensive cards. Like, I think this deck was probably built with around 2 tickets at most, but it's still got potential. Oh, we didn't ask him for tea. That's unfortunate. Anyway, a few notes for this matchup while we're waiting. Scion of Vidugazi is simply amazing if you can survive that long. Because it produces 3 blockers, 2 of them chump blockers, and another that's an actual scary blocker. Even worst case scenario, when you're just hardcasting it, it basically seals up the game. We're definitely keeping this. This is a very nice hand for what we want to do. Trostani's might be a dead card depending on how we draw, but we've got the maximum amount of fixing that we can get in this deck, so we have something of a time. I didn't take out the Selesnya Charms because, honestly, I don't have anything in the sideboard that'll work better. Now, we're going to put this up, but we're not going to play a creature immediately. We are still using Selesnya Charm as basically a flash creature, but, well, unless something happens. I can't think of anything that would, though. Dragon Mantle? Not bad. Not real good, but not bad either. Anyway, we're putting a Night Token out, and we're going to trade it. Because we're still getting him 2 for 1, essentially. I think the most expensive part of his deck has been the Legion Loyalist. Those cost around 2 tickets now, but I think he got them when they were cheap. So, good for him, I guess. But the Legion Loyalist is incredibly annoying against the deck we're running. This comes into play tapped because we don't need the Banisher Priest right now. And we don't want to... If you can at all avoid it against red decks, you do not want to trade 2 life. Anyway, even though we have a big, big opening, we're not going to attack here. Because we'd rather let him wear himself out against us, and then smack him. Oh, and if you haven't figured it out yet, this is my first video for Magic Gathering Stratosphere, so let me know if there's anything I can do to make it work better for you guys in the next time. Ooh, Ash Zealot. Maybe he did spend some money on this deck after all. Unfortunately, he can't really attack into us right now. Well, fortunately, actually. Now we're going to play a Loxodon Smiter just to get this guy bigger and bigger and bigger. Because honestly, if you get to a high enough point, they can see it on your own without you having to take any of the risk. So we're just going to sit and wait until he has all the stuff on the field and he has to attack. Now, we're going to have to watch out for Dynacharge again, but what we're going to do is if he swings with everything, which means a trick of some kind, we're going to block, pretty much straight across the board. Just Experiment 1 to Ash Zealot, Fleecemane Lion to Rakdos Cackler, and locks it onto Soldier. That way the most important cards survive no matter what. Yep, he's going for it. Titan Strength, not bad. But we regenerate. We've essentially made him waste a card, which is part of the reason Experiment 1 is here over Soldier of the Pantheon. Soldier of the Pantheon just dies. Alright. Now, we're actually going to play Tristani. She seems like an odd choice, and we're not going to block with her, because, again, we're worried about his tricks. But once we get her out, we start making up a lot of the life we've lost, which is very important. Let's see. Not the chatty type, is he? Nope, I guess he is. I guess we did kind of get a perfect curve here, didn't we? No, we don't want to attack just yet. We want him to think he can get us if he does the right thing. And we will take damage from doing that, but it's okay if he gets us. Dino Charge, easily. Unfortunately, we do have to block and pretty much trade across the field if we can. But after this, he's pretty much out of gas, because he doesn't have First Strike right now. Although in the event that he does have First Strike, like if he has a Coordinated Assault, we want it like this. That way he can't kill them both. Although, no. I'd rather risk aiding 2 than guaranteed trade 1. Because Tristani can help make up a lot of the losses we have. Yep, Dino Charge. Didn't make a difference. I think we're going to play the Banisher Priest here, just to get rid of that Soldier token for good. The Ash Zealot we're not really worried about right now. And plus we basically get free damage. Because since we don't really have a need to block with this guy, we can now swing. Rather, we don't want to block with Tristani. Any one trick can completely screw us. Like that Titan Strength, that's bad. We need Tristani out here to survive. Well, not to survive, but to make it easier on us. Anyway, I welcome any suggestions that you guys leave in the comments. So if you have an idea for how to make the deck better, I'll gladly talk it over with one of you. And I do need one favor from you guys, although I'm not sure how many people watch this, but I need someone to test certain tier 1 decks against, like preferably a mono blue deck or something basically that you think can knock the pants off this deck. I will gladly take challenges and record them. You'll have your own 15 minutes of fame, or more like 5 seconds of fame. You know what I mean. So yeah, anything that you think can take this deck on, I want to see it. Ooh, madcap skills. That's... Well, we can still race that. And if we draw Selesnya Charm, that looks really stupid all of a sudden. But yeah, that's one of the better targets you could have madcapped. It seems like he likes our deck. But I'm not that kind of guy. Alright, we're being polite and talking with this guy. It's always good to make people friendly towards you if you can. But if you can't, that's okay too, honestly. Anyway. We're going to go ahead and finish this matchup, then I'm going to cut this video short because I think it's going to get a little too long otherwise. Well, actually, no, we have to finish one more match after we win this one. And that sounds like I should be saying if, but no, I shouldn't. We've pretty much got this guy in the bag. Yep. Alright, is there anything else I want to throw in? Not really. Anyway, let me close out for us there. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is where this... Well, if you're looking at this, you already know where the video's going. Never mind. I may also upload this to Twitch at some point, but that's for my own personal account. If you're wondering where that is, let me access it. Oops, never mind. I gotta log in. I'm not doing that on video. Ooh, we got a bad hand this time. We gotta mull this. Not great, but this is pretty nice. We may have a shot as long as we can just keep these going. Like, we're not gonna try anything fancy. We're just gonna put these out, trade them, and hope the inherent 2-for-1 against aggro works. Because if it doesn't, we're in for a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Oh, and if you folks happen to want to follow me on Twitter, I go by the username Warp World Gaming. Although I rather doubt you do. I mostly talk about Magic finance stuff. Alright, this is gonna hurt.
That's just insult to injury right there. But you know what? We'll make do. Right now, what I'm mostly focused on is making sure that his hand, like making sure I can deplete his hand as much as possible while trying to come online. Oh, excellent. Now, hmm. I think we still need to play the Voice of Resurgence, but next time we can play two of them, which is actually pretty good since we need a chump block here, and having a 3/3 on the field would be nice. Jeez. Makes me wish I had a detention sphere in here. Alright. We still have to play double voice because, honestly, we can't afford to take more damage. He can do one spell and it'll wipe us out. In fact, he probably has this, but we're gonna try. Oh, he's messed up. He messed up badly. He got us. Just goes to show you, even Rogue Bruce can still do a lot of stuff. Anyway, that's the end of this match, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm now shutting off the stream, and I will probably spend most of my time trading for cards. Oh, and if you guys haven't heard about it, look up Quiet Speculation. You'll find it interesting.